Om Shanti, and welcome everybody to Winning God's Heart. And these elevated souls in front of us are going to give us the key to win God's heart. Isn't that wonderful? And I am going to introduce Morni, and she is going to mediate the group, and she'll introduce the rest of the group. So Morni has been in Gyan since 1977. And she was born in Australia. She took Gyan in Australia and served in Asia for 30 years. When I came into Gyan, she was in Hong Kong. How long were you, 23 years? 22 years in Hong Kong. And so Baba just puts her wherever he puts her, and she happily goes. She's in Australia now at Yarra Retreat Center. And what I really like about Morni is that she's just accommodating. Everything, when I'm around her, I feel that everything is okay with her, with me. She accepts everything. Is that so? It is. She's very easy. And one of her blessings from Baba was that Baba said she had courage. That's one of her many specialties. And I see that very much in her. So I think we need mics, brothers. Oh, you have it. Everyone has? Do you want this one, Usha?
Om Shanti. So all the translations okay? Everyone's okay? So how are you enjoying Valentine's Day with Baba in Madhuban? How are you enjoying? Enjoying? Yes. It's such a beautiful chance to be here and to deepen our love. And the topic for this panel is winning God's heart. And my first question was, do we have to win God's heart? So let me put this to the panelists. Do we have to win God's heart? So let's start with Rambai, Ram Prakash, but we call you Ram Prakash, because I think he believes we have to win God's heart. So let's start there, and then we'll see what the others think. So Brother Ram Prakash has been with Baba for 50 years, and he's known for the project 7 billion acts of goodness. How many have we counted so far? 2 billion. Oh, a long way to go. So he'll be reaching out to all of you to add to those billions, but 7 billion acts of goodness. And I believe he's done about 4,000 presentations in 50 cities. And for those who are just downstairs for the workshop, he's full of enthusiasm. So, Ram Prakash Bhai, what do you think? Do we need to win God's heart?
I feel that when you say, I win God's heart, so the winner always possess. I mean, they go and sit there. So that means like anybody wins, so then they stay there. So if I stay in God's heart, I am a winner. I win God's heart. So this is how I look at it.
Okay, that's how you see it. Right, right. What about you, Usha-ben? So Usha-ben's from South Africa, in the centre in Durban. She's been with Baba nearly 40 years, and she served in Guyana also within that time for a year, but presently she's based in Durban. So do you think you need to win God's heart, and what does it mean to you?
It's a little bit like about saying that, do I love God? You know, and so think about that when two individuals or two things are close in proximity, or they on the same frequency, they have the same values, no one is conquering anyone, but they actually have that, when two things are in the same direction, they reinforce each other. And so it's like working with the force of God. And so that will definitely make me a winner, isn't it?
So working with the force of God, that's what it means to you, winning God's heart.
It's like, being in sync, being aligned. It's not a separation, because it's, when we think about love, is it something we're going to get? And I don't think we're going to get anything, because that relationship between the self and God has been an eternal one. And so it's just really realigning and then...
Realigning. Yeah. Wonderful. And for you, Brother Pure is from Malaysia, and he's acting at the moment as the chairperson of the Brahma Kumaris Foundation in Malaysia, and has also been with Baba 40 years, and so dedicated. So for you, do we need to win God's heart?
Yeah, Om Shanti.
Or what does it mean?
Yeah, thank you, Maureen. I think definitely as a Brahmin, no, I'm talking on the level of a Brahmin. We have been devotees. Once upon a time, we are Brahmins now. I think even devotees, they need God's love. They want to experience God's love, but they are not getting it. And the reason why they're not getting it, we know they're searching here, they're searching there. If devotees were able to experience God's love, then they will stop searching. So I think, put it simply, I think whatever we get here, we have to be worthy. I would use the word to be, we have to have a quality of worthiness to get Baba's love. So I think definitely I have to make myself worthy to be able to experience God's love.
And of course, there's also stages in love, because like any relationship, that relationship of love goes through different phases, whether it's with your children, your parents, your siblings. There's different phases. And I remember Sudesh Didi once talking us through those stages. And she started with that stage of the devotional one, the one that just longs for God. Mira, Mira, she would do anything to experience God, but she was a devotee. But then we come to this stage of the gopi, the one who's found God. So I think probably most of us relate to that very well. When we first came to Baba, at least for me, I fell in love. I was dancing on the street. I was really like a gopi, just so intoxicated from being an atheist. I just experienced Baba and was really literally dancing on the street. So what's that stage of gopi for you where, they say if you want to know about super sensuous joy, ask the gopes and gopis. Are you a gopi?
I think that I can relate to that. I mean, the joy of I remember once coming back from university and jumping on my mother's counter and saying, I got God actually. And I really think that it's about, we all have had a relationship with God in many, many different ways. But when we move away from even who we are, then actually we can't connect with our parents, or we can't connect with our whole roots or our heritage. And so the big thing for me was that really that identification that I'm not just this limited form, but to actually truly recognize myself and feel worthy of, actually maybe worthy is not even the word, it's like valuing the self. I think that's the thing that really I loved. Because very often, I think about one Murli where Baba says that, this is like a love story. And it's my love story that I got to know myself. And in that, I start to discover all the different relationships. So finding that deep feeling of that my value and that who I belong to is God, I think that is quite intoxicating. And it actually lets you lose your inhibitions. You can do things that you actually, most people think you're crazy.
So it sounds like you fell in love with yourself as well as Baba at the same time.
Well, I think you can't love God and not know yourself. I think that would be a devotion.
Right.
So it has to actually come with discovering that, because if I say I'm God's child, then do I know how precious I am? And I think that's perhaps one of the most vital things on this journey, is to acknowledge the being that I am.
Right. What about the two gopes over there?
I think for me the thing is, Gop and Gopis is not physically doing Gopi dance or Gops dance. I think for me at the beginning when I came, my first thing I fall in love with Baba means for me fall in love with the Muli. So I think that Muli is the thing that attracts me when I came at the beginning. And then as I progress as a Brahmin, you find that first we love ourselves, definitely, loving Baba, and then later the instrument not so much, family not so much. But gradually as we matured, as we progress in our Brahmin life, we feel that we need the 4 types of love. We need instruments love, definitely. I came at the beginning because instrument give me so much of love. So I would define love as 2 words, so much of care and attention. Things like care, attention of the breakfast, have you taken your breakfast or not? No? You're okay, you're waking up on time. So the thing about care and love, I think this is a basic ingredient, is practically to show love for each other. So when I came beginning, as I say, fall in love with Muli, means fall in love with Baba, then respond from Baba's Muli, is loving me. And then later I'm much closer with the instruments, and much closer with the family, and much closer with the dadis and the didis. I think for me, love as a Brahmin must encompasses all these different areas. We came at the beginning sometimes as a sannyasi or as a very devotional. We think me and Baba enough. Me and Baba, Muli, Baba's room, that's all. Muli hall, Baba's room, and go back. But as we progress in our spiritual life, we think that is not enough. That is not the total love. So total love should encompasses the family, instruments, didis.
Thank you.
See, for me, I think when they talk about gops and gopis, people ask me many times, what kind of people you have to be to belong to God, And what I say to them, you have to be crazy. If you are not crazy, you will not come to Baba.
Are you all crazy? I'm going to ask you all. Are you all crazy?
We are crazy in love. Crazy in love. Right? Who says, I am crazy in love with God? See? That is what the craze means. You don't care for anything. You just go. You don't look at anybody. People will make fun of you. And you say, what has happened to you? That's what happened to me. When I came to Baba, people thought something has gone wrong here. I'm an engineer by profession. They thought I have become a stupid engineer. Stupid, they call me stupid. And that is what crazy is, you don't care what people think. That is how my love has to be with God. And gopis were same thing. They will run after Krishna. And people were saying, what has happened to you? They were crazy about him. It's true or not? So some or another, really, if I want to belong to God, but crazy in what sense? The passion. I will give up anything for God. Because the joy I am receiving from God, I have never ever have experienced in my life. I am just seeing every day something new is coming. The depth keep going further and further. That's why we keep on becoming more and more crazy. There is one thing about crazy people. Crazy people think they can make a difference in the world. But actually, it's the crazy people who make a difference in the world. Because you look at Einstein, how he used to look crazy, isn't it? Look at his hair and all that. Good at Gandhi, People say, what has happened to him? He has become stupid. But they made the difference. So that's how I see being crazy in God's love, passion. That means I don't see small things here and there. So that's how I see it.
Lovely. And the next stage that Didi Sudesh was speaking about was Sita. And that's a really interesting one because, you know, when we come to Baba, we're just intoxicated, not very practical, but just flying. But then Sita, you know the story of Sita, she loves Ram. She only loves Ram, but she gets deceived by Ravan and ends up in the cottage of sorrow. So that also happened to most of us, right? We're intoxicated, but then we start having Maya about why is this one doing that, and I want to be this, you know, having that kind of competition in the BK family. So poor Sita, she loved God, but most of the time she was in distress. Did you go through that stage?
No, I think I can identify with that. And it's actually the delusion of when we think we are human doings. Because when you take on even being an instrument, it's very, very fulfilling because every time you do something special, you just feel even more special. And so instead of connecting to God on a subtle level and taking, you know, re-emerging your own power, you start living off the happiness that is created through service. And that is a delusion, actually. I like the idea that anyway, it gives us good potential of good karma that we create. And sometimes I think it's necessary in a way that you kind of move yourself in doing, that at least you get out of the kind of like limitations. But because it's pure karma, I find that you do find yourself again. And sometimes you get a little bit of a knock, or sometimes somebody comes and, you know, when Simba forgot that he was living in his delusionary world and the monkey comes and knocks him in the head and says, remember? I think it happens to us as well. And for me especially, I feel. But I didn't regret it because I felt that the whole build-up of the pure actions, you know, in the name of service, was giving me an opportunity to see how committed God is to me as well. And as a result of that, when I went through whatever I needed to go through, I could see that I actually didn't feel like I was in a dark hole. It actually just made me sober. So maybe from the intoxicated stage, you get sober.
Yeah.
And so then you stop kind of like living off the highs, but actually then, you know, realize. And it's also that Sita is not only the one that gets trapped, but she never loses her commitment to Ram. So she was trapped by Ravan, but whilst being in his cottage, she never got sustained by him. She never took anything. I know she ate one grape, I think, but the idea was that we mustn't, you know, get lost further. And I think that's the beautiful thing, is that even though it's just a stage, but it does bring one back and even creates more commitment.
What about you, Pure Bai? Did you get
Yeah, the
that
Sita
stage
love
of-
I've encountered in this Brahmin life. I think what Baba sees in the soul, I think he knows we have love, but our love are mixed. For the overseas cooperation also, no? So much of mixture of love. And he knows that finally that soul of me has to have a pure love, divine love. So I think the story of Sita, you know, like sometimes being deceived, definitely in my Brahmin life here and there, especially like Usha Ben was saying that, not only on the field of service, but even with the log kicks, sometimes you're attracted to the log kicks when you go back once in a while, or when gathering with the log kicks. So, I mean, put it simply, Baba knows within the soul is love, there's love for him, but it's a mixture. It's not divine love, it's not the soul conscious love, it's not the pure love. So, but the thing is, we are knocked by situation, we are knocked by the vices, but the other thing is the good knocks comes in. Baba give a good knocks, and Maya give the other bad knock. So every time we listen, especially the Avyak Muli, I feel very, very amazing. The magical thing about Avyak Muli, even we listen once a week, but definitely once that Avyak Muli takes us into the depth of the whole cycle, the love that soul should experience. Ideally, what Baba wants is deity love, but emerging from now to deity love, definitely we have to clean a lot within the soul. So I think other than service, with the Logics, with the company of Logic job here and there, I think at the final end is what Baba wants is pure love, soul conscious love.
Thank you. Did you ever have Maya? I don't think so. He doesn't look like he gets Maya, does he?
See, always I am with Maya.
Always.
Always. The reason is when you say getting into trouble, we get into trouble, I feel with myself I'm always in trouble. Why? Because I have only this much resource, this much time, but I want to do this much. Because my goal is always bigger than my capacity. And I'm chasing my goal. And that's what I am always in trouble. Baba is turning us into deities. And we think we are very ordinary. So this is the journey between being ordinary and becoming a deity. So how much trouble I will have. I know even in my college time, I was lazy, won't study. But the last 5 or 10 days, I was so much in trouble. But I will study 16 hours, 18 hours, and I still used to get good marks. So now I felt that trouble was the good trouble. What I found is the crisis. What I found in my life, it's only in the time of crisis I grew up. When the life is going smooth and easy, it's a boring life. I call it slow death. I'm dying slowly when everything is going smooth and easy. Boring life, Only when you are in crisis, then you jump and you let go of your all laziness. You will go to this one, it brings humility, it sets your priorities, what is important for you. So I always find you are always chasing your goal, which is much, much higher. So when you are looking for your goal, you will feel you are in trouble, but you are growing and growing. So troubles are which are making our life. I feel
it's like stretching ourselves.
I call, not stretching because stretching is painful. It's expansion. Expansion happens from inside out. Stretching is from the outside. External situations stretch you. But when you like heat, expands. My zeal and enthusiasm, the love I have, my DNA is exploding. So when it's exploding, it's expanding. So that is how I find that stretching will come back, but expansion will keep on growing and growing and growing. Okay. So that's how I look at it.
Okay. Isn't it wonderful to have very different responses from everyone? So the next stage after Sita is the stage of maturity. So who's the mature one? Mature. Maturity. Who's the mature one? Sita's a little bit, immature. She gets caught. But the mature one is Parvati. So we go from that stage of, from Sita to Parvati, the one that stays beyond. And Parvati is remembered as being with Shiva, and in the highest place. And she doesn't care about society. Society used to not invite Shankar to parties. That's what they say in Bhakti. They didn't invite Shankar because he looks so strange. He's naked, he's got, all kinds of strange things. He's not dressed properly. He's blue. But Parvati doesn't care. She doesn't care for the world. She just happy to be with her beloved, to Shiva, who's portrayed there is Shankar. So that stage of really being beyond, what was that stage for you? Where you really were able to go beyond?
I think I'm feeling that, it's really something that I'm really enjoying now. Because, obviously that's also a stage that it gets deeper and deeper. But it's like, for me, knowing that I'm not really trying to prove anything, I don't need to, in a way, explain myself or whatever. Just that feeling of being satisfied. I think that's like a nice place to be, is that, but it's not a complacency. Because I feel like Ram Prakash Pai, I'm constantly enthusiastic. And it's like Baba does it in a very nice way, because I'm not so busy in my head. So Baba can pop new ideas every now and then. So that keeps actually the fuel going in a very constant way. And I think what Ram Prakash Pai was saying is that, we have that goal there and then we don't have that capacity. But actually becoming a little bit more quiet, in a sense that where you're not running after things, you're actually finding that what you do actually is more effective. So it doesn't actually put you into a complacent mode, but you do find that what you're doing is with much more ease, and with little expansion of energy, greater things and more effective things are happening. And so that actually makes you realize that the deeper you go, the more quieter you become. Actually, whenever I'm doing some preparation, I find myself realizing that I need to just go back to my basics, and become more still. I'm not going through things and rummaging things to find something, but it's almost like it helps me go back to the essence. So really enjoying to know that Baba's knowledge is so powerful that, when we learn that first lesson, Who Am I?, which is very lovely that we started our program with that song. But that journey doesn't end, because who we are is so massive and we're so unlimited. And to slowly, slowly keep getting into the depth of that, it actually can never get boring. Even after so many years, to sit and be feeling like being that being of light, that eternal being of consciousness, spreading and radiating that light, doesn't feel like, oh, we've done that before. But it actually is so fulfilling, because now that practice is actually an existence that actually emanates and fills the whole room. So that for me is like not running after, and the maturity stage is that, no? That we're a little bit more stable, but what we're doing, and I think I like the word that you use, that when something expands, it grows from the inside out. And so it's able to fit in rather than break things, And so, because something that expands will fill all the gaps and actually become one with the surrounding. So your presence also is not just, now don't keep this against me, but my general mode used to be like doing things fast. So sometimes I used to be called Hurricane Usha.
Hurricane Usha.
Like
Because she was
literally,
fast,
do
happy
things
and
quick.
fast.
But I like the idea that you can still be effective, but you're not causing any destruction. But this idea of expansion is actually a nice word, and it doesn't mean you can limit what you do. It can even become a lot more. It's nice to know that on the field of service, even though when I think about, I said the intoxication of service was the thing that could actually make one lose focus. But it doesn't mean that you do less. It's just that you do it with the correct consciousness, and you also make sure that when you're getting into that spin, you don't leave Baba behind, because he's the one in the first place that gave the inspiration. Then you just go and run with it and you leave Baba behind. And I think this mature is to actually keep the whole family together. And I even saw the difference, like, because say if we are climbing a hill and we're going for a walk and I can quickly go up a hill and then everyone else is behind and then I'll go stand up there and wait for everyone. And now I feel I can wait for everyone to go up together. And it's in little things that you realize that the impatience goes away. I could still work on my patience though, but it's so beautiful to actually be able to look at your physical behavior and see how you respond to the challenges. And that just also reinforces your own faith in God and your faith in the family and actually this life, because it's really a life of pleasure. It really has so much for us. And it also helps us to become inspirational for others to feel God, to the extent that I make God real to me without opening my mouth. It actually allows others to experience God. So I think that's, for me, obviously it doesn't end there.
Doesn't end
Carries,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, we've got more to go, but yes, Parvati, the mature one.
I think for me, maturity stage, the example you give is that is Parvati and Shiva. It's a good analogy, you know. It means a couple. So I will look at this maturity on two levels. One is, I think ever since Daddy left, Daddy Prakash Mani left, Daddy Gulzar left, and Baba's coming stop. And then I think the first stage has a Brahmin. I think that I have to be on my own. I have to be matured. I can't depend on the Daddies anymore. I can't depend on Baba's life coming anymore. That's the first stage. I think that is for me. That's where I grow in the mature state. The second stage, I think, important, talking in terms of love, because today's topic is on love. You see, sometimes as an instrument, we tend to give love to others, you know, keep on giving. But there comes a time I feel that my love doesn't penetrate their soul anymore. I have to let go. I have to let Baba comes into that soul. That means certain maturity, I would think that certain stage in our Brahmin life, especially sustaining the others, whether Brahmins or non-Brahmins, you just have to let go, let a higher source comes in. The higher source can be a senior instrument, it can be Didi, it can be Daddy, it can be Baba himself. You know, the other day, when I was in Panda Bhavan a few days about this topic on love, when I go to all these 4 pilgrimage places, History Hall, just feeling what sort of love Baba is giving from the History Hall experience. And then Baba's heart, Baba's room, and Tower of Peace. I feel that these four pilgrimage places, the love is different. I mean, personally for me. And then yesterday I was sitting in the Muli Hall looking at the Baba, Brahma Baba especially. I feeling so much is giving me. But then one thing clicked. I think Sujesh Ben shared this point, very good point, that Baba worked through him. So sometimes you're so attracted to a physical instrument. It can be anyone. But forgetting that at the end of the day, Baba worked through them. So I think this is called the maturity stage, where certain stage in our spiritual life, the higher force comes in. Whether Baba comes in, whether Abhyak Brahma comes in, or whichever.
Yeah, nice.
See, for me, when we talk about maturity, maturity means to give. The one who gives, the one who let go. Somewhere some sacrifice is needed, and also saving the yajna. In other words, there will be situations, like one time I was taking some project and Dadi Gulzar told me, you are from yajna. You can handle the situation. What it really means, there will always be so many things, but you will figure it out, you will work it out. In other words, when we say let go, you could be right. Still you might have to say sorry. And that's maturity. I remember one time, Big Daddy Prakash Mani and many others were there in the United Nations. We were getting 7 prizes. And one very IP kind of person had come, was staying with me. And we had made bread and everything for him. And then he came and in front of everybody, Sister Mohini, there is no bread in Panda Bhavan. I remember Sister Mohini really looked at me. You cannot even take care of your guests. What happened? Because there is no bread. I said, no, bread is there. I had kept it over there. But she was really saying, no, how come you don't have it? This brother is saying that. I literally had to say, being quiet. And I remember Dadi Prakash Mani looking at Sister Mohini. She did not say anything. She did not say that, no, why are you saying that? Quiet. And then that brother went over there. Sometimes something is very in front of you. You don't expect that. That's what it was. The bread was right over there, but he was expecting in the fridge or something like that. And now he's feeling bad. And next day he said, Sister Mohini, and he had to say, Sister Mohini, I know, Ram was scolded, but actually bread was there. Now that builds our trust. That means our seniors have the feeling that you can save the situation. Even when you are right, still you might have to say sorry. And that is maturity. That means you're saving a situation. Because of our family, lots of time, there are different situations, circumstances. Sometimes both are right in their own way, but because of circumstances, we did not communicate with each other. Both are thinking they are right. And then somebody have to say, you are right. I agree with you. And then they will find after 2 months how much love they will have for you, how much trust they will have for you. And this is how I see winning seniors' heart, winning seniors' trust in you. You can find the situation. Any difficult situation will come, they will send to you because they know.
Yeah, and lovely words to be told. You are of the yagya. Yeah. So you will do what is needed first and foremost for the yagya, not for yourself.
That's correct.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's funny that Ramba is saying this. I'm just thinking of something that's quite good is, like whenever there's something that needs to be done, then they call you. They sort of only invite you when something needs to be fixed or whatever it is. And when it's the good times, then perhaps they even forget you exist. But if you think about it, Baba is the one also in the same situation, because when we in sorrow and unhappiness, we call God, and when we're in heaven, He says, you don't even invite me.
Yeah.
So I've been also thinking about this a lot, is that if you always only get called upon when it's something to do and something to fix and all of it, don't take it too seriously, it's okay. That's what they do to God too. But it's true, because that's when that whole feeling of, you can be relied on. Like, there's so many people, but if they need a number, they only call you. So everybody's got that person's number, but why would they call you? You have to think about why. Because perhaps you respond always. You will make sure you get it even if you don't have it. So those are nice qualities to actually think about, instead of thinking, oh, they just use me, they abuse me. and that's kind of where you can get into this victim stage. Yeah. And rather use that and grow with that feeling, which I also think is...
Actually it happened. Many times people will tell me, Ram, you're very innocent, people are using you. They said to me, they're using you. And then I am just looking, but whenever there is something to be done, they will always call me, Ram have to come. So then, using me. And all of a sudden I felt, people are using me because I'm useful. Otherwise I will become useless. So do I want to become useful so that people can use me? Or I become useless so that nobody can use me?
And even Baba says, use me, use me.
Use me. So that is what I think. So that means the more people can use me, the more valuable I become. So let people keep using me and I keep on becoming valuable. Sometimes people think, people are taking advantage of me. I say, people take advantage of me because I am at advantage. They are at disadvantage. Yeah. Energy flow from higher level to low level. But the maturity is when I'm giving and giving, I start to receive from God, from nature, from circumstances. Like when the water comes out from the tap, only then the water supply, the water start to run in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Only when the water come out. Same way when I give, I start to receive from everywhere. That is the maturity to be able to understand. To give is taking. So the life of giving and giving, life for giving becomes forgiving, forgiving and forgiving. That's maturity.
And as Usha Ben said, we only remember Baba when we need him. So one time a brother Michael from Australia, and Joe, they gave an invitation to Baba to come to the Golden Age. What do you think Baba said? They gave him actually a physical invitation to come to the Golden Age. What would Baba say to that?
Why I will come? I have no value over there.
He's so clever.
Nobody
He
needs
said,
anything from me.
he's so clever. He said, you go there first, then you invite me. He actually said that because he knows we don't need him there. We won't remember him. He is so selfless in that way. Very beautiful. So the next stage, okay? So, Parvati, as Sudesh Didi was describing, it's very much also about, really feeling this fulfillment and not needing anything and, really feeling quite comfortable in yourself. But then the next stage is to be Kali. You're not happy just to have God for yourself. You want to destroy the evil so that others can also have God. So that stage of Kali, where you really are very powerful. So that's another stage that we are in love. Like a mother will do anything for the children, and the same with BKs. We just care so much about all of Baba's children. So she was describing this as a stage of Kali. Can you relate to that?
Shall I just show my eyes and be Kali? I'm thinking, I can understand what you're saying, but I'm thinking, for me, I do hold Kali as a very powerful stage. And that does mean for me not to kind of entertain the stuff that are trivial. And I think there was an Avyak Murli just recently, what Baba says that, we mustn't get caught up in the triviality of things. So I think to some level, there's an attention to it because, Baba has been drawing our attention. But I would say that I can't really claim that title.
But what you're saying there, that like I've taken on this thing of not accommodating inappropriate behavior. I think in the past I put up with a lot of things I should not have. There's boundaries and you just cut where you need to cut because inappropriate behavior, it might not affect me, but it can affect others. So I might tolerate it because, it doesn't affect me too much, but maybe if it's, for example, in the kitchen, it's affecting all the people who are volunteering there, who are serving there, who are working there. So, yeah, I think this is like Kali, knowing when to, and Didi Manmohini was known as the controller. In the yagya, she was known as the controller. It sounds a bit hard, but she kept everything in an order that supported the whole family. It's a great thing to not control her in the wrong way, but that was what she was known as.
But I'm thinking, because you're using this example of Didi Manmohini, Didi's speciality was that she churned the murli. And she had the murli in her intellect in a very beautiful way that she could then draw questions and inspire others to actually churn the murli and remember the murli. So for me, the thing about the Kali is that, do I entertain and give myself little loopholes to be relaxed And do I actually say, you know, I've done all of that, so a little bit of this is okay? And so that kind of stuff is where and I think Didi never did that. Didi had a very clear line, you know. There was just one side of Didi, you know. I never met her personally, but from the stories that I've heard, you know, there was that strength that she, in a way, commanded, but it was because of her own inner discipline, you know. There was no like gray areas in her choices of what she did. So when I thought about that Murli that Baba was speaking about, is that yes, even if somebody is doing something that is inappropriate, but how much of waste thoughts do I actually create within myself? So I actually lose my power in entertaining those trivial matters. And I felt Baba, because in that Murli specifically, he said, don't take the law in your own hands. If you see something incorrect, you take it to the person, which is whoever can make a difference, and you don't go into anything that will lower your stage. So for me, I see a lot of this, that if I'm thinking about something and I really can't do anything about it, then I'm wasting my time. And that's really an important thing, because we can, if we, even as instruments, we think we have a right to sort things out. But can I sort it out? Or am I just thinking that I should be sorting it out? So that's also an important thing, because why take on a burden that's not really something I can do? And so in that way, to have that clarity helps us not to lose our stage. And the more I feel that I pay that attention, it's preserving my reservoir of pure thoughts. And that's where the power comes from. Because then people will see the constancy in you, and that alone can be a response to their behavior, rather than you actually saying something. So, I mean, I know there's certain things have to be, yeah.
Yeah, just a few practical examples. Like, for example, in the Yarra Valley, where I am, the retreat centre, we have been given a ready-made retreat centre, and the meditation rooms around. So when people come late, you know, like we do the half an hour before Muli, quite in a dedicated way, so that we make it powerful. So people are coming late. So one would come, then another one would come. When you're in a circle, you can't slip in quietly. You know, it's in front of everyone. So we made a decision amongst ourselves that we will all come by 6:30. If we can't be there at 6:30, we'll come in at 5:02 when the song is on. So, like, otherwise it was like sitting at a bus stop, you know, like all this traffic going on. And of course we can try to go beyond it, but sometimes there's also new people there or guests there meditating with us. So I think, you know, inappropriate behavior doesn't have to be very extreme, but it just doesn't work in a way. So now mostly that meditation's powerful. And not everyone sits together at Amrit Vela would be ideal, but they don't. So we decided that's when we would really have our yoga all together. And, you know, that's one little example, but even gossip. You know, we had one resident who had that habit of gossiping, and often about one targeted person. And so, you know, I just saw the damage on that person that was being targeted. So I just said to that person, stop it. And when I'd hear about it again, I said, I'm hearing it again. I'm just saying, please stop it. And I just keep saying, stop it. I mean, I'm not taking any action as such, but just saying no, you know, because it's really destructive for that poor soul that's having to like deal with this all the time unnecessarily, you know. So what do you think, brothers? Is there who is Kali?
Yeah.
And what is her role?
I think Kali, most of us, you know, when you look at the image of a Kali in the temple, it's very fearsome. I think for me, Kali is not using Kali in relationship with Brahmins. I can use Kali with love.
Yeah.
The question is how to use Kali with love. But I think first thing that, what Baba meant is Kali means, I think, very much to your own self, you know, destroying your vices, destroying your subtle vices, destroying your whatever the impure desires, whatever. I think the first thing that we have to really understand Kali for myself. And the question now, Kali for others. I won't, no, my approach is normally is, because at the end of the day, no matter who you deal with, at the end of the day, you want them sort of to follow the Shrimat, follow the disciplines of the center, follow the sort of whatever. I think Brahmins especially will look upon us as a Kali in the sense that if I really show that behavior, if my behavior is that, even I don't say anything to them, they can catch the sickness. I think nowadays, many times in the Muli Baba says that we only correct them through vibrations. I feel that important. Correct them through the vibrations and your good wishes. That is the best way to correct them. And I feel that even I learned very much from Didi Dr. Nimala, no? I think sometimes as Brahmins, we don't need to respond. Not everything that we need to respond to others, whether verbally or whether written, in a written way, through whatever way. Certain things we have to use silence power. I think silence power works a lot. For me, silence power is one form of loveful Kali.
Loveful Kali.
Yeah, silence power is loveful Kali. And important at the end of the day is sometimes you want them to change, you want to correct them. You know, I've been a principal for my local profession. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
sometimes, you know, as a school teacher, as a principal, we enforce a lot of discipline. But the art of the discipline is when I say something to somebody, when I correct anybody, do I feel any guilty conscience? Do I feel any pain or do I feel any regret? If that happens, normally that happens to Lokik people because they are not spiritual. So if I correct somebody, as far as correcting according to Yaga system, according to Baba system, we don't feel any guilt or we don't feel any sort of regret, whatever we are doing. So I think that Kali as much as possible, Kali for myself and Kali for the people around me, especially Brahmins, is we just have to use a lot of subtle way to deal with them.
See, somehow I have to say I cannot relate to word Kali because I tried few times to become strong. Like when nasty people come in front of me, I say I have to become nasty. I will fail miserably. I can never become as nasty as other people are because that's not my strength. So I will fail. My strength is only the opposite of that. Their anger, my tolerance. Say if I want to become angry with angry person, they can go much, much more angry. And I will fail because I cannot become that. So what I found was, you know, when the word Kali, I feel, why even I have to play that role? I mean, you know, I'm different, you know. I find my power is of softness. My power is to absorb people's darkness, absorb it. I become a cushion for them. I absorb their hatred or like their negativity, and because it will happen, like I just feel I want to become like a pillow. People can hit me, but because I have softness around me, I will not get hurt. So people can keep hitting me, keep hitting me. I know sometimes people might say, why people are, you know, I'm not a punching bag. People can say that, you know, I have to just bring a different aspect. And I start to imagine myself, I am a punching bag. So I saw a punching bag. A boxer comes, hit. The punching bag keep on taking the hit and go back. Then come back. Then hitting it, keep on taking, get tired. Another boxer comes, keep hitting the punch bag, keep hitting, then get tired. And the third one come, everybody is hitting the punching bag, and punching bag is taking the hit. And somebody asks the punching bag, hey, how you doing? He said, hanging in there. Everybody is tired. They're gone. I'm still hanging in there. That is what I find my approach, because I have found, I tried few times.
But Kali's not nasty or angry. She's a deity.
No, that's what I'm saying. That Chandika is also the. Do I want to become Chandika?
Let's ask
Sitla
Didi
Devi,
Sudesh.
probably. Sitla Devi, the other
I
deity,
can be
goodness.
Shitla Devi, I can be, and I somehow or another, one thing I also have found, anytime I see somebody make a mistake, I find a reason for that person making mistake, I find something is wrong with me. I find that means I have a chance to improve on myself. Because when I'm seeing somebody doing something wrong, some part, maybe 1% of me, which is recognizing that person is doing something wrong. So I just look into myself that how can I change myself? I'm just giving a different perspective because I tried few times, and I find even though I could become winner, but I will lose relationship somewhere. Whenever I face somebody, surely I'm a strong person, I will win, but I will lose somewhere. I have seen many times in my job, in Brahman world, and I find there's no way other than your power of softness. That's the soul energy. Soft, absorb everything. You will never, what is shock absorber is a spring which yield, power of yielding. And you can say that worlds are there, Kali and all that, but to me, somebody else can play that role. I don't want to play that role.
Maybe it's an understanding. I think this is a great question to ask Sudesh Didi, because even one time here in Madhuban, one of the, I don't know, it was a Madhuban Nwasi or a Sevadari, but they did something inappropriate, and that student told me, so I went to tell Dadi Manuha was here then. She immediately called that person. Then she called me, and that person was so sorry, and I'm sure they'll never do it again. That's Kali, isn't it?
But
like not just letting it happen, because it was not a good thing to happen.
See, but what I am finding is, many times we see some senior, we take their example that person said so many things wrong, and then the Didi or somebody became like Kali. But many times we take it, their patience was way up there. But my level is here. I can get impatient so quickly, I become Kali right here.
But that's not Kali. Yeah. If there's anger, nastiness, if there's not love, it's not Kali, because she's a deity. But anyway, let's leave that for Sudesh Didi.
Yeah, that's good idea.
Let's leave it for Sudesh Didi. I'd love to hear who she says Kali is. We'll ask her.
Yeah, that's
yeah. And then the next stage is going beyond all of this, okay? It's so much, right? All from right back there, Meera, Gopi, then Sita, and then Parvati, and Kali, and next one, Lakshmi. She doesn't even know what Maya is. She's there. So that stage of Lakshmi is really the stage of equality, right? Because Lakshmi Narayan, there's balance, which is perfection. Balance is perfection. So how close have you come to that Lakshmi stage and feeling that? Because really, as Baba says, love, true love, can only be between equals. Because if one's up and one's down, it's a little bit not really strong. And also he says, a couple, if they don't match, they don't look right. See, Lakshmi Narayan, somebody was telling me the other day, they looked very closely at that image in History Hall and said, the face of Lakshmi and Narayan is the same. There's so little difference. So what's that Lakshmi stage of love? Do you think it's that equality with Baba? Anyone?
Yeah. Some or another, when I say becoming Lakshmi, I just give example. I became engineer. It took me 4 years. I might have gone maybe 1,000 days in my school. Actually, the day one, I became 0.001% engineer. In other words, one of 1,000, after 10 days, I became 1% engineer. After, so that means my engineering started to right from the day one. Same way I see, I become Lakshmi from day one. But percentage keeps on growing and keeps on growing and keeps on growing. So when I divide even to become a deity, I break it up and go into, like we say, okay, 50 years. Then I can break into 1 year. Then I can break into 1 month, 1 day, then 1 hour, 1 second, then 1 breath. So that means every breath has a beginning, and like every second has a beginning and the end. 1 minute, after 59 seconds, that becomes next. So I can divide my whole thing becoming, so that it's not at the end I will become, then how I will enjoy. That's how I look at it. I honestly, I really feel I started to work in that. Yeah. Being an engineer, you go with, it's a journey from A to B. So
I had that insight about Bap Saman, because sometimes you can feel equal to Baba. It's like, is it possible? It's so high. But that was my experience in meditation. I'm on the journey. I'm in the process. So it's not like I'm not. It's not that I am. I'm in the process. So it was very much like you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, lovely.
Journey.
I think for Lakshmi, they think, see, Lakshmi is always bestow, no?
Yeah.
Bestower. I think even Diwali time, they worship Lakshmi so much. They don't worship Narayan. So the question why we don't call as Narayan stage, why Lakshmi stage? So when we come to Lakshmi means we give. I think one main thing about love is I think we keep giving. We don't take. The moment we take means that anyway, even we don't take physically, but even we take on a subtle level, definitely we are not, we are far away from Lakshmi stage, definitely. But the other thing that comes in my mind, Lakshmi means is golden age. Okay? Golden age is what? Religion of love, language of love, feelings of love. So how golden age can last for so long? I think the element of love is there. Even Baba is not there. And Baba is not there, and yet the kingdom can last for so long. That means amazing that all the souls in golden age, they are full, they are complete. Not only the royalty, they have love, Lakshmi Narayan, even all the subjects, whoever they love. So that collection of love, the circle of love between the family in golden age, that makes the kingdom last for so long. So I think Lakshmi stage is, a complete stage, become Lakshmi Narayan, but the journey to that, but I like what Morni was saying, that we will become that. But definitely Baba says, at the end, many times Sakamudi said, at the end you become that. At the end you become that. So I think at the end time, some push should be there. What sort of push, I don't know. But Baba knows better. Either Brahma pushing me to the end, Baba pushing me to the end, Brahma pushing me to the end to become complete. So I think Lakshmi stage is 2 things in mind. Keep giving whatever, whoever wants anything. Even physically I can't, subtly. My feelings should give, my drishti should give, my words should be giving.
Wonderful.
I'm just thinking Lakshmi, really Laksh, which is the aim, and it is about the soul returning back to its original state of being. And in the kingdom, Lakshmi is actually running the kingdom. And Narayan is just the figurehead, but she's actually doing everything. So, it's almost like when we look at the role of Lakshmi now, that if I'm not always in front, and yet I can still make the difference, can be the one that can actually create the stage, prepare the atmosphere, so that it's moving people in the right direction. It's actually, in a sense, directing the kingdom. So I think that for me is more the sort of Lakshmi stage, where it's the silence that is kind of working a much more stronger. I don't know if you, those of who actually saw Daddy Gulzar. So you know Daddy Gulzar was a very, very quiet someone, no? But when Daddy walked into the room, she didn't have to even raise her eyes and say like, you know, why are you guys making a noise? It's just like we all decided, no, we need to keep quiet, no? And if Daddy gave a class, maybe she would give only 15 minutes. But I think most of us would remember every word she spoke. It's like every word we treasured. It was also because that was the power with what she shared. And for me, as much as I've taken a lot of inspiration from Daddy Janki, because, you know, we were quite influenced by her classes and whatever, but when I always looked at Daddy Gulzar, the feeling was, that's what I want to become. You know, if we need to think about Lakshmi, then that's a very beautiful image in front of us. That Daddy in her silence was able to just shift atmospheres and environments. Her softness in her drishti would actually, you know, melt everyone. And it was done very in a non-violent way. We all know the power of Daddy Prakash Muni. Daddy would just hold her hand and she could order all of us into the state she wanted. But Daddy Gulzar never did any of those things. It was just literally her silence power that did it. So for me, she would be the example, but where I am on that stage, I'll need to sort of work on it. But I think because I'm starting to enjoy it, it's what I start doing as well. So when I know something needs to be done, then instead of getting too busy, I would wake up early in the morning or even just go into what Rambai was saying. It's also beautiful about the science. But Brother Anthony wrote a very beautiful book called The Man Who Became an Angel. And in this book, he has a very beautiful, simple practice, which is where he describes that the smallest denomination of time is a second, and the smallest denomination of thought, of consciousness is a thought. And it's almost like you have to play with 1 second and one thought. And I really find this for myself very beautiful, that if I really want to go into a state of silence, which is concentrated, is to actually be able to hold 1 second with one thought. And within 13 seconds, you can find yourself, because that's the practice in that book. But I really think that that's how quickly we can actually still everything and actually become that embodiment of who we are. And when I do that for myself, even though it's been a busy day and it's been whatever, and I know something important has to be done, that practice every now and then actually really brings clarity, and I feel almost like it changes the drama. So that is perhaps something we all need to know. It's available to us, but we need to know how we can tap into it. And as much as I'm saying it to you, I know it works, but I only can do it when I'm really desperate as well. So how to actually make it more consistent would then be a powerful way of invoking that Lakshmi now. And it's true, we're going to have that stage in the golden age. But you know, it's lovely to see how at this time, if the transformation, you know, in terms of service has to be done, people need to have that experience now. So for me, I feel those are like beautiful things of holding those thoughts and those feelings and also invoking those consciousness. So I think, Morni, this idea of bringing this stage of love with these different stages is very beautiful. I myself didn't think of it in that way. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and of course the final one is Lakshmi. And just one other thing, because we were asked to finish by 7:15. Is that okay with everyone? Seems to be going into yoga time, but that's what we were told. But, you know, Baba always says this thing, few recognize me as I am and what I am. And one of the great definitions of love is recognition. So maybe would you like to, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions for the panelists? Because I was thinking maybe having gone through these stages, we can end with that thought, that to what extent have I really recognized Baba, recognized myself? Because he always entices us, I feel, by saying that, you don't really know me still. And then I think, really? What more can I know? Because we only know what we know. We don't know what we don't know, which is why it's so good to listen to different experiences, because, we don't know what we don't know. We only know what we know, and it can be so limited. So just maybe to end with a sentence, if you want to. Is there anything you didn't say that you wanted to say on this panel? Is there any last word from any of you?
I think for myself, what I want to say is that, when Dorothy introduced you, she said you have courage. And when I met Baba for the first time, Baba also said to me, first he said something very beautiful. He called me a Shiv Shakti in the combined form. And then he said to me, do you have faith in intoxication? Now you're sitting in front of God and he's asking you, do you have faith in intoxication? And I'm going like, and then Baba, you know how royal he is. He didn't say, no, you don't have faith. He says, when you have faith. He says, when you have faith in intoxication, you will become powerful. But he ended off by saying, you have courage.
Yeah.
And I found this very beautiful because this is what love is, in a sense, where Baba knows the soul so well that he can actually, open himself up, but also open you up. And I feel sometimes what we need to do, and I really think this is it, is that don't hold the self back. Don't be afraid. And that's where the word courage is so special, in a sense that even if sometimes you see your potential is not 100%, all your resources are not intact, but if you get that feeling that this is the right thing to do, go with it. And you'll be amazed at, and I think that's where the winning comes over, because Baba comes with 1,000,000-fold and responds in such a way that you grow in leaps and bounds. But it's really that thing about not getting heady and calculating and counting and seeing if everything is in place, because at that point it's definitely not going to happen. So it's really beautiful actually to always, this thing about the heart is to be intuitive and to see if I'm really saying, yes, I want to do it, but then the head starts doing all the funny calculations, and then we think it's mature not to do it because it's impossible. And that's when we lose the craziness. And so I think just to sort of encompass a lot of things that were said, it's so beautiful for us to actually have that faith and that we are God's children. We're not really ordinary. But that doesn't leave the rest of the world out. It's not about that. But at this time, I have a chance to be this instrument where God is going to use me. And that it's going to be where He'll communicate with me, He'll inspire me, He'll give me some thoughts. And it's my job not to lose it. It's to catch it and let it work through me and become something beautiful. Because in the midst of that, I will actually know myself. So knowing God is to be able to recognize His connection with me.
See, I somehow, when we talk about the last word, I feel that we have to simplify everything. Simplify the word angel. Simplify the word deity. When we talk about angels, we think of only big angels who have done some miraculous thing, and I'm ordinary person. So what the angels do, not the way they walk and nice and all that. Angels appear at the time of need, whenever they're needed. They work selflessly. They remain incognito. They won't let anybody know they are angels. And the one work is finished, without letting anybody, they fly away. And they will not take anything in return. Because if they will take the gifts in whichever form, they will become so heavy, they won't be able to fly. Angels remain free hand. Same way, simplify the word deity. Deity means the one who gives. So, give, and give. That's the only way of living the life. And that is living the life of a deity. Giving means if I take 10, I give 12. So 2 becomes my giving. If I make $100,000, let me work for $10,000. If I am asked to do this much, let me do this much. Whatever extra I do, that becomes my giving, and that is a simplified way of living a life of a deity. And be ready is making me angel. So living both lives at this time, not at the end.
And actually, we don't have time for the full story, but Ram Prakash Bai was in the Twin Towers when one was coming down and actually was the angel to help get so many people out very peacefully. Just being the angel. That's what an angel does. And then 5 minutes later, the building came down. So we can all be angels at any time. Any time. We never know when that opportunity knocks. An angel. Pure Bai.
Yeah, I think the thing about love is, I think, it's a matter of time we can experience a complete love. Sometimes, when we came at the beginning, we just love the self, love Baba, that's all. But I think at the end of the day, to become complete deity, we must have complete love. Complete loving everyone, including the lock kicks, including the most nasty one. So it's a matter of time. I think, basic thing, I think just 3 words that Baba sum up. Love, all of us have love, but don't forget the soul conscious love. Om Shanti.
Wonderful. So thank you to our panelists, and we'll have some meditation, and let's go into that stage of recognizing Baba as he is and what he is, and being in that stage of being equal. Om Shanti.